Everyone is Stockfire, and it's time for another Dockfire Down and Dirty, kind of a reg dyno. Probably some clickbait that you saw there. But anyway, if you guys remember, and I have it up right over here, the Azodin regulator. That you can buy these Azodin regulators, they're like $45. They have some nice features, you know. They have a swivel base, which is nice. They're comfortable. They're easy to adjust. And the best thing of them is the price. Some of the bad things on it, things I don't like, and I think it's just because of Azodin. Well, I don't know where Azodin does all their manufacturing. I would assume that's done somewhere in Taiwan or China or something like that, overseas somewhere. But there's some metric screw. Well, there's a metric screw on here, which is the screw that takes the body apart, and then the adjuster screw, which I don't remember my Allen is. Here it is. The Allen is a 4mm in the bottom. Although a standard 1/8 inch will work in the bottom. Well, no, it doesn't. Sorry, it doesn't work at all. I lied. Let's see, maybe a little larger, maybe 9/64. No, I lied again. 9/64 won't work. So it's a 4mm bottom. I'm checking other. Oh, you know what will work is a 5/32 will work in the bottom. You're not kind of SOL when you're at the field and you want to make an adjustment on it. It seems like a 5/32, which is the same size tool that is for the AKA 2 liters Allen wrench. But anyway, it has some metric stuff on it, but all the O-rings are standard O-rings. And so anytime that you have a less expensive reg, I'm gonna stay away from cheap reg. All right, I think all regs are probably engineered halfway decently, right? And then I think the execution of maybe some of the machining and then the assembly and some of the parts that are chosen for it sometimes falter on the product. So for instance, I'm going to take this guy apart real quick, and this is the reg that I did the dyno on. So take this. It's actually an easy reg to disassemble too. Take the body halves apart, and this has got, instead of a Belleville washer stack, it uses a coil spring. And this is a moving base regulator also. It's not a poppet style. And then the piston, it has a piston with a number 15 O-ring. It's brass. It's got some weight to it. It's the piston sits there and it seems to move, you know, fairly freely. I run my finger on the inside. It feels smooth on the inside where the piston would ride, so that's good. But so you kind of look at all these little things. You look at friction and stuff like that when you're looking at kind of tuning these regulators. And this guy, I bought 2 of these, and the other one, and they both performed exactly the same brand new out of the box. They're consistent on that aspect. But the spring on one of them, well, I would say they're fairly exact. The spring on one of them, if we look here, is, I don't know if you can see this, and I'm using my webcam, so that's why it's not as clear, but this is a machine cut spring. So they coil the spring and then they machine cut it and they grind it flat, so you have 2 flat surfaces on it. The other one, actually this one is it's at a little bit out of an angle, so it, potentially when the spring's in there, it cocks at an angle, and which could put a bind on that piston, which could create more friction, which in turn will slow that piston down and will slow the cyclic rate of that piston or the regulator. So there's ways to fix that with the stock spring. You can refile that down and then do some work on that. So that's one of the things. The other thing is the reg seat in here, and that's in here. Let me pull it out here. This one has a little. They have a little C-clip at the bottom to pop out. It's not quite frankly, you don't probably need it in there. It's so when you're unscrewing the base, the adjuster setup. Come on, everything get out. There we go. When you're unscrewing this part right here, which is the Reg seat, and then this is the adjuster, and it has a number 11 O-ring. It's always an odd number, I think, but 11 is an odd number anyway. And then it's greased with like a white grease. I'm assuming it's like a Dow 55 or something like that. I don't know. It's something that they used. It's all wiped off now. But and then it has some sort of a reg or a red colored. Let's see if I can do this. Come on. I don't know if it's going to focus on it. Yeah, it's maybe focusing. But anyway, that's not working. Sorry, guys. It's a red colored reg seat, and then I'm going to go lightly poke it with a pick. And it's soft. I would say it's probably like an 80 durometer. Just guessing. I don't know. Something around there. So pretty simple how the whole thing comes apart. It's got a couple more O-rings on this collar right here that I can't get off for whatever reason. My hands are too greasy. It's got nice flow passages in it, so it's no restriction there. And this is nice to a certain degree that this is one giant cartridge, right? Now the only problem with this is that when this is up against that piston and you're adjusting this and it's under pressure, that the brass part on the piston seat is rubbing against this whatever material. I'm assuming a urethane type of material. And granted, urethanes are fairly durable and they're resilient. They will go back to their old shape usually, depending on the quality. To me, this urethane doesn't feel that good. And so what I did is I did some tweaking on the reg itself on another one. And I have right here, that's the Azodin modified. So I did some tweaking on it. I'm not going to go into the tweaking of what exactly I did. Some of the stuff you guys can probably figure out because I kind of talked a little bit about it. Some of the things you're not going to know. But it's take a $45 rag and let's let it kind of perform, hopefully, something like a $80 rag. That's the whole goal, or a $100 rag, right? Because we're paintball players, we're cheap asses. We want everything cheaper. Now, granted, if there's a company that's manufacturing stuff here in the US or England, like Planet Eclipse, well, they're not making regs anymore, necessarily. But in the US, like Inception Designs, CP, Palmer's Pursuit, AKA, Die Paintball, and I know that some of these guys probably go overseas to get stuff manufactured, and some don't. Palmer's does their stuff here, and that's a shout out to keeping it in the U.S. But some of the things are, by U.S. That's really what it's come down to. All right, so I rambled there. So let's go look at this chart right here, and this is the run that I did earlier. And here we look at, if I highlight this column here, I'm not going to highlight that. It's easier to read by not having a highlight. So the refresh rate on this reg was 307 milliseconds. So we're going to divide 307 on the old trusty phone calculator into 1,000. So 1,000 divided by 307. And I'm getting a whopping 3.2 cycles a second this reg will do. Well, that's not so good. That may be fine for maybe a pump player, all right, or for a gun that's not really dependent on regulator pressure, which I think they all are, kind of. That kind of sucks. And but it's not really that great. Now, it doesn't say that the reg's not going to perform. It's just not going to get up to its set pressure. It's only going to go so far up. So your first shot after sitting for a while may be nice and warm, a nice hot shot, and then everything after that's going to be shoot down, because it's going to only shoot as move as fast as that regulator will refresh. So if you're under rapid fire, you're going to start seeing some possible shoot down. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to close this window out, and I don't need to go through the rest of this chart. And I got to reopen my scope software because it works all different ways. All right, it's opening back up. There it is, Picoscope 6. You guys can go buy this stuff, build it out yourself, and test it yourself and prove me wrong. That's all the thing about science, right? Is figuring how all this stuff works and then retesting and testing, and we're never satisfied with it. But there we go. Now we can see the numbers. Okay, so I have a reg in there right now. So I had that one I just pointed at, and it's at about 196 psi, give or take a little bit. And I'm going to clear out my chronograph, and we're going to do a run. I'm going to do the 5 balls, and then I'm going to do a cycle on it. I haven't done this. Let's see. I've modded this reg. Well, I'm going to lie. I did a little bit testing to make sure the thing's going to cycle. But let's see how it works. All right. So, oh wait. I got to go get this all stopped and then started. I got to clear everything out. Make sure things 0 ranges. Yeah. You guys probably don't see these windows that are popping up because it's how my software set up. Okay, it's going. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, we're gonna hit the old stop-a-roo on there. We got a little rapid fire there at the end. All right, and let's go back to the very first one. All right, so now we'll go to the second one. You saw there that my last shot was at 288 feet per second. So here we are. Now the reg with some mods to it, and these are all mods that in all reality, minus maybe one, you should be able to do in your own workshop or desk at your whatever, wherever you're doing it, your dorm room. I don't care. And so the first one, 22 milliseconds. That's really not bad at all. So we're a little lower pressure, and I can go look at we'll download the run on this thing here in a second. We started at 198, went down to 142, drop in pressure. 22 milliseconds, pretty consistent. 23 milliseconds, I'm not complaining at all. 21 milliseconds. 23 milliseconds. Okay, here's my string. 27 millisecond string. So what I want to do in the string is I want to come over here and I'm going to drop down. This is a measuring tool. So I'm going to drop this down where it lines up with the blue trace. The blue trace is the Azodin reg. Right, so we're at 197 psi. And wow. Let's see if I could zoom into these right here. So here's the first string. And there we go. So what it does is it has a 27 millisecond refresh. Pretty darn good. It does overpressurize just a tad, but I'm not worried about that. It overpressurizes by about 2.8 psi. Not the end of the world. So kind of helps with maybe a little shoot down under rapid fire. I'm not going to find it actually will increase velocity a little bit, I think, but not enough to be, I think, noticeable where you're like your chrono's all over the place and the gun's not working correctly. All right. So let's go and we'll go to the next. Oh, that was it. Yeah. So that was the big string there. So not that bad. So let's go download. Let's open up this. And I'm going to make this window bigger so you guys can see it. And you're not going to... Oh. All right, so let's go look at this string right here. I had 16 shots in it. We're done with that. We're going to go down, import the data. There, I got to scroll down to all these tests that I've done. Imported data. Do a quick little refresh my weather. Okay, in here. So there we go. It's 46 degrees. The barometric pressure is 30 inches, and the bullet weight is 40 grains. This is done in grains. I've weighed these 3 balls out in grains, and we're going to call this Azodin mod, M-O-D, mod, Azodin mod, and we're going to hit the save button. All right, so here we are. Let's look at, actually, here's the way to really kind of look at it. And I wonder if I can PDF format. Yeah. Let's see if no, I'm not going to save it. Cancel that, cancel that. Let's just look at it here. Okay, so we have yeah, you guys can see that. 200, let's see, the last shot was 288, and I had the 292, 290, 288. So maybe that 2 PSI bump is a little bit of a bump, but not really. Let's see. I started off at 187, 180, 89, 88, 85, 89, 87, 84, 88. And then I start getting into that. So I remember I did 6 shots. So my 7th shot started my ramping, my slow ass ramping, and I was in the 287s, 288, 287. Then I had a 291, and then it drops to 279, 288, 290, 287, 292, and 288. And so our standard deviation is our average was 287 feet per second. We had our extreme spread was a 13 feet per second spread, and then yeah, and that's when we had that 279, and that could be, let's take this 279 out. I think that's possibly a small reball. So let's take the 279 out. 288, our extreme spread was 8 feet per second. Okay, because I think that one was just a rando out there. But if you guys want to keep it in there, you can. But we went from 13 to 8. Not a huge hit. But we did increase velocity from kind of starting in the average of the 287 to 289 range. And then when we went past that, we went from 289 to 291. So, 4 feet per second. If you shot at a field that was 285, you'd be over. Hell, we're starting over on it, so not the end of the world. But let's make this guy small again, if I can. Make him small. We're going to get this guy to come down. There we go. So it's pretty interesting. We take this cheap as less expensive than the standard $100 regs out there, and we get some performance gains out of it. So it's kind of saying, hey, look at, don't go and blow your, what did I do there? Did something there. Oh, there we go. That was weird. If you don't have a ton of money, but you have some skills, you can make these regs a little bit better. I always do recommend that try to, if you have the money and it's a worthwhile upgrade, not a hoax upgrade, and we've seen a ton of those, then go to one of these U.S. companies and buy a new reg from them to increase your performance. But if you don't have the money and you have the skills and the tools to do it, this is one of the ways to do it. So Anyway, Azodin rag. Not a great rag stock. It obviously functions, and it would probably through time break in a little bit, but like I said, it's not a great rag stock, but it's easily modded. So if any of you guys have Azodin rags and you want to send them to me, hit me up on Facebook under Dogfire Down and Dirty Reviews, and I will mod your rag to some performance if you want. I don't know what the price is going to be, but it won't be that much. You guys have to pay shipping both ways. But anyway, that's it. So enjoy. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and the little bell thing or whatever it is that notifies you that there's more content. All right, Dogfire out. Have a good one.